Good morning, everybody.
Howdy. And here we are together again.
Fun, fun, fun. Fun stuff. Now, oh my goodness, lots to cover. We have the December Elders Letters. December 2022. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Atlantis, very much. We appreciate it.
Yep.
Now, I'm going to read a lot of this because it is interesting that they are so desperate of who they have to look to now for ministerial servants and elders and who to use in the congregations. I know.
I think I called this several years ago. They're going to have no choice but to re-identify.
Yeah.
And as we get into this, you're going to see it. They'll have no choice.
Well, look we did a video, a year or two ago, and we had the video of a young little Jehovah's Witness, I think he was maybe 9, if I remember correctly, giving prayer before the meeting. And we actually had 2 of them. And they, young guys, little guys.
Well, like I keep saying, it's just this simple.
Yeah. So for the elders, helping young brothers to make spiritual progress. Thank you for your efforts to give priority to the training of spiritually qualified young brothers in your congregation. When considering which brothers to use for handling certain responsibilities in the congregation, such as carrying or adjusting microphones, operating sound and video equipment, or assisting with literature, do not overlook young, exemplarily baptized brothers who are not yet serving as ministerial servants. If a baptized brother in his early teens, or even younger, is exemplary in his personal study habits, is commenting regularly at meetings, and is having a regular share in the field ministry, he may be given assignments in the congregation that are appropriate for his age and circumstances. When young brothers are given assignments in the congregation, they can be tested as to fitness to shoulder responsibility and may qualify as ministerial servants when they reach their late teens. OMG!
I told you, they'll have no choice.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and then of course, throw a few scriptures in here to make it sound theocratic.
Well, yeah, 1 Timothy 3:10 and Philippians 2:20 through 22.
You want to make it sound theocratic, Watchtower.
Yeah. Okay, for coordinators of the body of elders, please ensure that the announcements for congregations are read at the next midweek meeting. For life and ministry meeting overseers, helping young brothers to make spiritual progress. In order to help young baptized brothers to be qualified to teach others. Okay, now you were at Pioneer School.
Qualified.
And we were talking about this morning. The difference between a ministerial servant and an elder.
Right.
Go ahead and tell them, since you're the one that learned it at Pioneer School.
Well, it's not a matter of learning it at Pioneer School. It's in the book of Timothy. The difference between elders and ministerial servants is that ministerial servants are not teachers. Only the elders are teachers. And they've crammed that down everybody's throats for decades. But like I said previously, they have no choice but to re-identify themselves.
Yeah.
And this is part of it right here.
Yeah. Young baptized brothers qualified to teach others. Well, like Mike says, our entire lives as JWs, we were told that only elders are the teachers. And in fact, women, the sisters in a congregation, if there's not enough brothers, the sisters in the congregation in like these countries that don't have enough brothers, like South America and places like that, the sisters could actually conduct a watchtower study, but they were instructed they could only read the questions in the magazine. They could not ask their own questions of the congregation, because then that would be classified as teaching, and only men, elders, can do that.
And remember, Paul says, I do not permit women to teach. What nonsense! this is all becoming now.
Yeah.
But hey, I called it years ago.
Yeah. In fact, Atlanta sent me a file recently about how back in Russell's day, there were women, they called them lieutenants, and they were acting as elders. So I'm hoping to get a chance to do a video about that with all that information. Because if they were doing it back then, why can't they do it now? Just ask them.
Well, it has to do with Jehovah's chariot. We'll get to that in a few minutes.
Yeah. I'll read that again. In order to help young baptized brothers to be qualified to teach others. Can you imagine? It says young teenager. Can you imagine like a 14 or 15-year-old? Ay, 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 ay,
Hey, really? Do you not see the humor in all of this
yes,
now?
I do. I do. I really do.
Hey, just remember, the governing body are just simply misled.
Well, we're going to show a clip from the latest governing body update number 8, and I think Aunt Mo is drunk on his backside. I mean, he's slurring words, and if you go to jw.org and watch the entire video, oh good Lord, it's like, Aunt Mo, you really need to sober up before you do one of these. Ugh. All right, consider giving them student assignments more frequently on the midweek meetings so that they continue to grow as teachers.
So in other words, they don't have enough brothers to spread the workload, so now they're going to give it to a few selected ones, and they're going to burden them down.
Yeah, so they can continue to grow as teachers. Oh my goodness. We were told, I'm going to repeat it again for emphasis. We were told our entire lives as JWs that only elders are the teachers.
Right. See, now they're playing a word salad game.
Yeah. If needed, auxiliary classes for the student assignments may be held. Midweek meeting part on 2022 Governing Body Update number 8. The video 2022 Governing Body Update number 8 should be played the week of December 19th, 2022 in place of the 8-minute part, Rejoice When Being Persecuted.
Be happy when they're pulling your nails off their nail bed. Be happy.
Yeah. And we're going to show some clips of that here in just a minute. All right, so for congregations, announcements and reminders, December 2022. School for Kingdom Evangelizers. At the annual meeting of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of Pennsylvania held on October 1st, 2022, the audience was thrilled to learn of an arrangement that allows circuit overseers to invite some qualified young brothers who are 21 or 22 years old to apply for the School for Kingdom Evangelizers. Thus, circuit overseers will actively be identifying exemplary young I mean, I
know.
I can't even speak straight because
it screams desperation.
Yeah.
I called it years ago. They're desperate. They're gonna have to change, and they'll have no choice. And now we're seeing that come to fruition.
Well, the problem is for the past 2 years, they've been getting rid of elders who didn't take the
jab.
Yeah, exactly. And those who were speaking out against it and saying, look, you cannot push people to do this. Those elders were removed. Special pioneers, circuit overseers who didn't take it, same thing. They were removed. Well, guess what? Now they have a shortage of brothers.
Well, but the reason why they have a shortage, because Let's prophecy, these are the last of the final part, if not the last nanosecond, didn't come true. Now they're paying the price once again. If these men would just keep their flipping mouths shut and stop referring to the Bible as their guideline, well, there again, we wouldn't have as much fun that we're having right now, would we?
I know. This is just way too much fun. And I have another video to do because someone leaked. It is a shepherding visit to a branch in Liberia, and it has some interesting information in there. So I'm hoping to get that video done too.
Like Armageddon soon.
Soon. It's like, my goodness.
Hey, friends, it's just around the corner.
Well, there's just so much information coming out right now. I just can't keep up. All right, where were we? We get distracted.
Yeah.
The circuit overseers will actively be identifying exemplary young brothers who have particular potential for increased privileges. This is an exciting opportunity for young brothers who wish to do more in Jehovah's service. Number 2, discontinuing online Bible study lessons feature. Since July 2018, the online Bible study lessons feature on jw.org has been available in several languages. Since Enjoy Life Forever, the interactive Bible course, is now available in hundreds of languages on jw.org and in JW Library, the online Bible study lessons feature will be discontinued in December 2022. Enough of that.
Now, like I said before, they will have no choice but to become an online religion.
Yeah. Now I'm going to put the link down below to this. It's boston.com. And the name of the article is Jehovah Witness Cop Suing City Over Not Being Awarded Religious Exemption on Vaccine. Now, in the article, I'll let you read it, they do admit that the organization, it says Jehovah's Witnesses as a whole are not opposed to the vax, viewing it as a personal decision. But we know how much they were pushing it the past 2.5 years.
It's because of that 501c3. They don't have a choice. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that later in the video.
Yeah. And I mean, they were even having the vax clinics in the parking lots of some Kingdom halls. But anyway, I'll put the link to this article. Now, I will say that Jehovah's Witnesses can't say a baptized JW can't be a cop, but if they carry a firearm, a weapon, they cannot be used in the congregation.
That might change too. Wait for it.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to change too.
Wait for it.
Yeah. All right. So we have some clips here. Oh my goodness. Mikey, are you ready for these?
Always.
Yeah. Now this is clips from the governing body update number 8. And we're going to come in and play a clip and then make some comments.
Welcome. In this program, we're going to talk about the importance of adapting as Jehovah's chariot moves.
Mikey wanted this first clip to mock it, of course.
Of course. Jehovah's chariot on the move and adapting to that movement. You mean like adapting to the fact that the generation of 1914 is long dead and gone and Armageddon hasn't come yet? I mean, now adapting to the bullshit of the overlapping generation when Armageddon's never going to come now? I mean, that type of adapting?
Yeah, because that overlapping generation was them adapting to, oops, we made a mistake, now we have to change it.
Oops, we put the cart before the horse.
Now, when you read about Jehovah's chariot in Ezekiel, like they're talking about keeping up with this chariot.
How do you keep up with a spaceship?
Go back and read that, because the source of all, the one that I believe the source of all, does not need a chariot to drive around in, and especially little, energy beings does not need them to guide this spaceship all around.
What a joke. What a joke on humanity.
Yeah. So what was Ezekiel really seeing?
Well, what I want to know is what the hell was he smoking?
Who knows?
See, that's the whole problem with all of this is we've allowed the church that was formed at the Nicene Council to tell us what to believe, when to believe it, and how to believe it. And they got away with it by shutting down everybody that dared stand up and try to say, wait a tick, that's not what that means. We have carvings even in India that show otherwise. We have carvings coming out of Sumeria that are, or Sumer, that are different than what we're being told from these knuckleheads at the Nicene Council. See, when you shut people down, you can do whatever the hell you want. We've seen that happen in this country for the past couple of years now. And guess what? That's coming around to bite everybody in the ass now.
Well, look at, you go back, I know we're digressing, but you go to Zoroastrianism and Persia and all of those, and they're, like Mike mentioned, Sumer, there's actual carvings in stone that can't be edited that show a god in this little craft with wings on the side. It's all over the place in the Middle East. They believe their gods had these little chariots, these little spaceships, whatever you want to call them. So, you know, Ezekiel wasn't the first one to see them.
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And, you know, that's, like I said, that's part of the problem, is that when you shut people down and you stop healthy dialogue, that screws with the human mind. Because you are no longer a free-thinking individual, a free-thinking entity. You now become a product of the state.
Well, exactly. So do you have free will or not?
Right. Exactly correct. When your religion shuts your voices down, then you move yourself from the belief system that we were created with free will to where you are now no longer a free, sovereign being.
Well, maybe I should take a minute and talk about this paragraph in the current watchtower that Jehovah's Witnesses are studying right now, because this raised, you know, a question in my mind. All right, this is the September 2022, page 23, subheading, the final test, paragraph 13. We must remember that being perfect does not in itself mean that the person will automatically gain everlasting life. So, even if you think you make it through, you may not.
You may not.
Yeah. Think of Adam and Eve. They were perfect, but they needed to demonstrate their obedience to Jehovah God before they would be granted everlasting life, and sadly, they failed to obey Him. Mike did a video. We're in the scripture. One, was it Genesis version 1 or 2? Jehovah God told him, I give you all. I give this all to you in the garden. Well, all means all.
All means all.
And if Adam and Eve were given free will and all the fruits and vegetations and grains and all of that, all means all. So when they exercised their free will, then it went horribly wrong and got really bad really quick.
Apparently, all does not mean all. It's not just Christianity in that thought system. It's also other religions. I'm going to avoid saying the name, but you might be able to recognize it just simply because when Noah came out of the ark, Jehovah God said, I give all the animals as food. There wasn't any stipulation about pork. Not one word of pork. That came much, much, much later in man's development. But all means all. So why were people condemned for eating pork? You know, something unclean. When God says, I give it all to you, that means all the unclean animals also. They don't think, sweetheart.
Well, we have a friend that married a Muslim man, and he's a sweetie. He's got a good heart. We love him to pieces. But you just can't discuss things with him because if it's in the Quran, then it is right. It is from God. But my question to actually both of them was, when Jesus healed the demonized man with Legion because he had so many demons. Do you remember? The demon says, send us into that herd of swine. Who was raising swine in Israel?
If it's an unclean animal, what the hell is that animal doing on holy ground?
Well, it makes you wonder, who was raising swine, a herd of swine? And that's why, Simka Yukovich did an excellent episode about the ancient Christianity.
Right.
Because he found that it was actually the Gadarean area, Spain, where this happened. It wasn't in Palestine or Israel.
But that contradicts the narrative of the Nicene Council, Kim.
Sorry.
That contradicts. Oh, wait a minute. I better silence my own voice.
Are you ready for the next clip?
If I must.
You must.
I must, saith the Kimmeth.
It's also encouraging to hear that the local design construction work is moving ahead. Where there are no government restrictions, Kingdom Hall construction groups have restarted. What theocratic construction is on the horizon? We now need over 15,700 new Kingdom Halls and major renovations around the world. We need these Kingdom Halls for our in-person meetings. To begin addressing these needs, over 1,600 projects worldwide are planned for this year alone. And branches are also working hard to prepare facilities for in-person circuit assemblies and theocratic schools starting in January 2023.
Wait for it. Here comes the begging for money. You Jehovah's Witnesses, you better turn your pockets and purses inside out because you're going to have to fork over more money, because not only do you have to pay for these 15,700 new Kingdom Halls and major renovations, but 1,600 of those projects they want to do this year.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't we already mock this years ago with Let's saying, well, we need 14,000 Kingdom Halls, not sometime in the future, but right now.
Well, apparently they need 1,700 more now.
When will you Jehovah's Witnesses stop swallowing the BS? Oh, you want the answer? Never.
Yeah.
Because you're in love with an ideology. You're in love with being able to say proudly, I'm one of Jehovah's Witnesses. The God of the universe is backing us. My goodness, just look at all the Kingdom Halls that we're building. No, look at all the money you're just shoveling to the governing body so they can live in the lap of luxury. Oh my goodness, this is so simple to do because it's just the same mechanism. You heard Let say it several years ago. We don't need them sometime in the future. We need them right now. You got ammo doing the same damn thing, shoveling the same crap, and you're all buying it. You're all willing to open up your purses, your pocketbooks, like Kim said, and turn them inside out and give until it hurts. How is this any different than that other moron tilting out? Yabba bubba booba bubba bubba. I'm speaking the God. They just can't reason this stuff out.
Well, that's why we're here to mock it.
Well, that's what it is. It's a beautiful day when Kim and Mike can mock Watchtower.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, even though it's kind of cloudy and hazy, it's still a beautiful day.
Yeah. Now we have another clip here, and oh my goodness, we'll call Mike down.
Yeah, this is where.
And he needs more M&Ms.
This is where I'm going to get serious after we play this clip.
Yeah.
No more mocking. But hey, I make no guarantees.
We'll get you some M&Ms and get ready for the rant.
Yep.
We have another exciting update regarding freedom of worship. As Jesus foretold at Matthew 10:22, we face much opposition. Jesus said, "And you will be hated by all people on account of my name." To assist Jehovah's people, We have recently established the Freedom of Worship Office at the Central Europe branch. This headquarters department will coordinate our efforts to defend our worship in Europe. Now, you might be wondering, the work has been established throughout Europe for many years, so is this really needed? Yes, it is. For example, recently the government of Norway decided that Jehovah's Witnesses would no longer receive certain state benefits that are provided to all registered religions. Here to explain more about this is Brother Jørgen Pedersen.
We were shocked when we received a letter from government authorities in Oslo, Norway, threatening to remove our registration as a religious community. Jehovah's Witnesses have been actively preaching the good news in Norway for more than 120 years. In fact, Jehovah's Witnesses suffered for their faith under the Nazi occupation of Norway during World War II. Commenting on how Jehovah's Witnesses were the only religious group who stood firm against the Nazis, a previous minister for religion exclaimed, "People throughout the country should know about this. Especially young ones would benefit from this information." We've always been known as good citizens. In fact, a public report stated that Jehovah's Witnesses are careful to obey the laws of the land. Now they've suspended our grants, while there are over 700 religious communities who continue to receive such state benefits. This decision is unconstitutional and an unprecedented attack on religious freedom in Norway. With the assistance of the newly established Freedom of Worship Office, we're pursuing legal remedies. At the same time, we're pursuing dialogue with government officials, and we pray that this situation will be amicably resolved.
Thank you, Brother Pedersen. The authorities in Norway have threatened to remove our legal registration because of our scriptural beliefs and practices regarding disfellowshipping.
Okay, now first of all, he's announcing a new department they're going to have at headquarters, the Freedom of Religion Department in Europe. Now, we already know that some of the branches in Europe are NGO members with the United Nations. We have proof of that at their OSCE meetings and all of that, because they are fighting for their religious freedom. Another interesting thing is their lawyer or whoever that is goes through, explaining Norway and how unfair it is for Norway to take away their funds. Really? You're worried more about money? But if you notice, Ammo at the end, he says this is because of the scriptural disfellowshipping. See, that's why they're in trouble in Norway, because they're disfellowshipping members and the shunning that family will do to their own members. Now, Goat-like personality, Jonas, he covered this because he had an article, I think it was 1 or 2 articles, and he's done several videos about this. But he went after Watchtower in Norway. And Watchtower went to the news media and got them basically to cower to their wishes, to where they make Jonas a liar. And this is the same thing that's happening in Spain. They're trying to shut up ex-members for telling the truth. They're trying to shut down freedom of speech and the truth. So, like I said, go check out Goat-like personality and just type in Norway, and he's done at least a couple of videos about this. And we were supposed to do a podcast with him this weekend. I don't know if that's still going to happen. But check it out, because they lie, they coerce, they harass. I mean, anything they can to shut this down.
Yeah. Here's the thing, friends. And I've known this for a very long time, because my darling wife went to was the Bethel House one day.
It was a secondhand store that has used books.
And this was actually found in the religious section, Hush Money. Now, I've done, in the past, several videos reading excerpts from this book. And I've said this once, and I'll say it again. When you are a religious entity, or any entity that desires to get a 501c3, you are now a corporation. You are not a free church of Christ. With that 501c3 comes certain stipulations that you have to abide by. Number one is that your ministers cannot be encouraging the congregation who to vote for, who not to vote for. You cannot have politicians come into your church and, do their politicking, because you are now a state corporation. You're not a free church
But
of
you do
Christ.
have to obey the superior authorities or you lose it.
And that's where Watchtower is right now. Because of that 501c3, they are a corporation. They're not a church. A corporation can legally be sued anywhere in the world because you're a corporation. Now, what's happening here in the United States, you're going to see a lot of Christian organizations get turned upside down because there is bipartisan legislature that's being voted upon, and it's going through to where a church cannot, well, let me put it this way, they are redefining what a marriage is. They have to bend the knee. Why? Because they've got the 501c3. That's why Watchtower has lost this case, and why in Norway they're breathing down their neck, because they are a state entity. When I started reading this years ago, somebody in Croatia called me a knucklehead. I don't know what I'm doing. We're just blah, 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 blah. And most of the friends back then bought that line of bullshit. Now who's got egg all over their face? Because I understood completely what Peter Kershaw was getting at.
There's also some lectures or seminars he did on YouTube. So you can just type in, churches and Peter Kershaw.
Every minister, every church that has got a 501c3, and by extension, if you are a member of that, you have been captured by the state also.
Well, we even did a video years ago that Obama, when he was president, signed into, I don't remember if it was an executive order or law, but all of these 501c3 churches now have to be part of his task force. Basically have to do what the government says. So it puts a noose around their necks. And I'm no prophet, but I'm going to predict that if this new legislation goes through here in the United States, Watchtower is going to have to adapt again to keep up
with Jehovah's celestial chariot.
Because if they have to do marriages or approve of marriages that we know they don't agree with,
Right.
Guess what? They're going to lose out again. So they better start preparing, because I foresee a big mess. Unless they can get some of their money and pay some of their 5 lobbyists to get it thrown out of Congress.
Well, you even heard that knucklehead say that because the laws changed, they have to hush their mouths. And guess what, Watchtower? That's all biblical, because what did Paul say? Be obedient to the superior authorities, because there is no authority except by God. You've already surrendered your free will. It's got nothing to do with the Garden of Eden and Adam and Eve choosing to disobey God. You disobeyed God when you got that 501c3. You disobeyed by having this put around your neck. You have to be quiet. How much more do I have to enlighten people before the vast majority can see it?
Another 10 years.
Yeah, probably. Probably. I mean, Jane Doe gets where I'm coming from, don't you, sweetie?
I was just going to say, Jane Doe has been covering some of these older articles. And if you want to see how Watchtower has changed and softened their message, just go watch some of her videos where she's reading some of these articles from the 50s and 60s. OMG.
Well, back then, the government tolerated it. Why? Because they didn't need Watchtower to do what they're doing right now in this point in history.
Yeah, in fact, I have another video to do that someone had put a quote on Twitter. I think it was Larchwood, if I remember correctly. But he put a quote on Twitter where Russell was talking against the indigenous tribes and calling them horrible things. And then I had shared that with Atlantis, and then he sent me an article where they were talking about the Filipinos and saying horrible things, and that they weren't even smart enough to rule themselves. I mean, that's horrible. So just go look at some of these older articles and you will see how they had to soften their message because they were judgmental jerks back then. Well, they are now,
They
too.
still are.
But I mean, they were even worse back then.
That's why they've lost their religious status in Norway, and they're gonna just keep crying the same thing because they've already been hushed.
Yeah.
When you become a corporation, the state and the government can now go after you. Doesn't matter what any constitution says. It doesn't matter. You gave up that right because you want to become tax exempt. Why not just do what Jesus said and pay Caesar's to Caesar's things to Jesus? Pay
Caesar's things
to Caesar. Yeah, I'm trying to combine both of them at the same time. Because if you had done that, Watchtower, you wouldn't be in the pickle you're in right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not difficult no more.
Well, I was just thinking, they say they need these 15,700 new Kingdom Halls and major renovations. Well, I'm thinking maybe that's how many they sold over the past 3 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I've been adding a lot to the Watchtower property tracker. A lot.
Yeah.
Including, assembly halls and everything else. So, of course, they need new ones because they've been selling them.
They've been selling them off.
So,
because, Armageddon was just right around the corner. Jesus prophesied in the time to the end there would be pestilences. Well, that's proof that these are the last of the last upon a fire, if not the last day.
Well, see, because they sold all those and, Armageddon didn't come, the Great Tribulation didn't come. Oh, now we got to hurry and build and buy all of, this.
They're going to build back better. Where have we heard that before? We're going to build back better. Yeah, that's all crumbling now too, isn't it, friends?
That didn't happen.
For those of us that are awake, we know where this is going.
Yeah. So Watchtower's going to build back better, and we know what's going to happen with that. It's going to be in the toilet just like their 1914 generation.
You just can't make this shit up.
Nope. And this is why we can't stick to a script, because things just come to us on the fly.
Yep.
And we have way too much fun.
Way too much fun. This has been fun doing this with you. I know Kim and I, we kind of do our own thing sometimes because it's just really a time thing. Because I'm busy doing other things when she wants to do a video, and it's like, well, I really can't stop this, and vice versa. She's doing other things when I want to do, certain videos, and it's like But today the timing just seemed to work out.
Yeah. Well, I don't do much about Bible stuff, covering research and stuff like that anymore. I know I did the Decoding the Magi, but I had done that a couple of years ago, and for some reason the universe just handed me this information, that book from the Catholic Archives, Revelation of the Magi. And it's like, oh my goodness, I need to do this. And it just kept leading to one rabbit hole after another. And it's like, oh my goodness. When you look at the original language, Daniel was the chief of the Magi.
He was the chief magic practicing priest.
Well, it's funny because our Muslim friend, he talks about the prophets, listen to the prophets. And I want so bad to say, well, is this in your Quran that Daniel was made the chief of the magic practicing priests, the Magi? Because they actually do believe in the Magi.
Right.
And call them sorcerers and magicians, and they're into spiritism. It's a bad thing. So it's like, And even his wife has told me privately, if you could get him to listen to you, could probably wake him up that his religion is wrong.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because, she's fully awake that all religion, and she was raised Catholic. She has nothing to do with Jehovah's Witnesses. She was raised Catholic, and she sees it. She sees it. So
good people, good, honest-hearted people. Just, you just got to lose the fear. That's the biggest thing. Losing the fear. Watchtower, if you lost the fear of having to pay taxes, you might have a little bit more freedom to speak. Because you all don't want to pay the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes. But you don't realize that when you sign that contract, you become a corporation. You become part of a contracted union with the government, whether that be on the state or the national level. You have made a marriage contract. And that's the whole thing that's going on right now. To be honest with you, not a whole lot of people really care about the definition being redefined of what a marriage is. What you have to realize is that you are getting into contract.
Corporation contract.
Corporation contracts. That's all this is.
Well, the biggest thing is, I don't care what gender marries which gender. I don't care, because I can understand and see why they do this. Because as a married couple filing jointly in this country, you get tax benefits.
Right.
And if you are a married partner of someone who has a good health insurance, if you are married, you can become like a co on their health insurance.
It's all contracted ideology. That's all it is.
Yeah, so I can totally understand that, and I feel for, these partners that want this legalized so they can get those benefits.
Right.
So, go for it.
Well, there again, it's just going to cause a huge uprising because everybody has a 501c3. You will be made to hush, especially in situations like we see going on right now.
Well, we have a friend who's a Mormon, and the next time I talk to her, I want to ask her, if this legislation goes through, how do you think the Mormon Church is going to handle this too?
I don't think it's going to be very good, because it wasn't too many years ago that we did a video where a whole lot of people were protesting the Mormon Church because of their disfellowshipping gay people.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
they do the same thing.
It's not going to go over good, but just like Watchtower, they don't realize that noose is already around their necks.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So you decided to keep the beard, huh?
For now. Yeah, for now.
For now.
We have it on good information that the
Music producer?
soon. I don't want to give it away. It's soon, like
Yeah.
Armageddon. It's just around the corner. It'll be my or our Christmas gift to the community.
Can't wait. Looking forward to it. Don't want to give anything away.
Yes.
But anyway.
Yes.
So thank you everyone for watching. And we're getting holiday cards
Oh my goodness,
already.
yeah.
So thank you very much. I already had to hang up my ropes with the little Christmas trees
Yeah,
on
that's
it.
why a lot of the sage has been moved.
Yeah, I had to move all the sage. So thank you everyone for those cards and the love. We appreciate it. And the kind words of friendship and support. We appreciate that also. And my goodness, so many new subscribers and views. We appreciate it.
Yes, we do. Thank you.
And the comments, and we love you all.
Bye.
Bye.